Good afternoon. I'm Ariana Cohen-Halberstam. I'm the artistic director of Boston Jewish Film. Welcome to our 32nd annual festival and to one of the programs I've most been looking forward to during this festival. Today, we're going to be hearing from Amitai Cohen, Neta Elkayam, and Kamal Hachkar. This film moved me deeply. I couldn't stop speaking about it after I first saw it, and I'm so glad to be sharing it with all of you now. And I really want to thank our community partners who made this possible. So thank you to Global Arts Live and to the Consulate of Israel in New England. It is now my sincere pleasure to introduce the director of In Your Eyes, I See My Country, Kamal Hachkar, and the musicians, Amitai Cohen and Neta Elkayam. Welcome.
Hi,
Hi.
thank
Welcome.
you. Thank you
Hi,
for the invitation.
Salam.
Thank you so much for being here. So just a note about how today is going to work is we're going to have a conversation. If you have questions, please put them in the chat and we will be getting to those. And then as you can see, we have a very special setup from Amit and Neta who will be performing for us later. Um, this film is so beautiful. And I know, Kamal, you've made another film about Morocco called Tinkir Jerusalem, which screened at the Boston Jewish Film Festival, I believe in 2014. Um, how did you meet Neta and Amit? Neta obviously has roots in the same place that you're from. So how did you come to connect?
Yes, it's an incredible story. First of all, thank you to give us this opportunity to share again my new movie, In Your Eyes, I See My Country, with this beautiful artist, Neta Al-Kayam and Hamid Hai Cohen. I met Neta for the first time by Facebook because I saw a clip of Ya Ummi Lil Monty. She was a singer from Algeria, and she sang a song about mother, you know. And when I saw Amit and Neta singing, playing this beautiful song, it was just by Facebook, and I put just one comment on Facebook. I just wrote, I want to meet her because I saw she was from Israel, and one friend of hers, she put, you know, the father of Neta, he was born in Tinrir, and I think it was a maktub, it was destiny to meet Neta and Amit. It was in Jerusalem in 2012, you know. And at the beginning, I know I didn't finish with this story about Jews from Morocco. When I started with Tinrir Jerusalem, I wanted to make a sequel, to continue to explore. And after I met Neta and Amit, and it was the beginning of this journey with them.
And how long did you take this tour through Morocco in the film? I mean, you guys went to so many different places.
Yeah, it was in. I think it was just one. It was in August, you know. During we film several times, not in one time, you know. We filmed in Jerusalem, in Netivot, but also three times in Morocco. But we made a road trip, a big road trip during. Uh, I think 10 days, 11 days. It was in August. It was very nice.
Yeah. Um, Amita and Neta, I'm really interested in how you came to know each other, because obviously there are so many different levels on which you're connected, and you're both from Netivot. You both have this background, and you're both beautiful, incredible musicians. Did you meet first through music, or did you learn to make music together over time?
Yeah, the second answer. We met actually through, like, geographically, we went to the same place with a friend, and a common friend, like, introduced me to Amit. I knew his family from before, but I never, like, I didn't knew him in person. And then we started to be friends and colleagues, and we started to make, art together and gather through, like, around the topics of art and music. but actually the turn of like the change, the wave that changed our spirit to explore more of the North African music began very late. I think it was only after we became couple and moved to live together, and then I don't know, maybe the piano in the middle of the house, and Amit, that he was more from the background of music, and he learned also from old musicians from Netivot and our hometown. He brought it into the house, and I just followed because before I was doing visual arts. I learned arts and with different medium, but eventually we became we started making music together, and we started our path together, exploring this specific genre.
I mean, you mentioned hearing Moroccan music in your house growing up. Neta, you didn't mention that, but you said you heard the language, at least from your grandmother. I'm interested in, and this comes up a number of times in the film, the way both language and music sort of have shaped you. I think, Neta, you talk about thinking of Arabic as a funny language growing up. And the richness of the language and the music is so palpable in the film. What were both of your connections to Arabic as children, and how did that shift with moving into the music?
We both grew up in houses where Arabic was kind of a secret language. Yeah, our parents spoke to each other, so we couldn't understand. But our grandmothers did speak with us Arabic. Actually, my grandmother spoke only Arabic. So, and also the grandmother of Neta. So
my grandmother and his grandmother spoke between them Tamazigh, Shilha. The Tashlihit, it's the language of the natives, Moroccans, like the Berber Jews. Yeah.
So they spoke both Arabic and Tashlihit, but we heard a lot of Arabic in the neighborhood, and the slang was full of Arabic. But to choose to learn Arabic, and it's not. I mean, you can maybe take it from home. Like you're not. If you are coming from a home that's speaking Arabic, you are not afraid from the language. Unlike many other Israelis, but you have to choose the language, because language is not only language; it's also a culture. It's a word. Yeah, it's a politic. It's a social decision. Here in Israel, especially, like living among the Palestinians and in the Middle East, Arabic is also it's a political statement to speak Arabic also. So for us, it was important to take the Arabic from home, but to take it to another level so we can communicate with it and also create with this language.
And they're different. You allude to the fact that there are different forms of Arabic that are spoken even in the film. Have your trips and your dealing with the language through music changed your relationship to the language at all?
Sure, yeah. I mean, if I understand the question, yes. I mean, the language is for us. It's like today. It's a kind of the second language. Like it's and for us, sometimes to go back to your roots, to go back to the language of your mother, it's the progressive. Is a progressive idea. If going back is a progressive sometimes. So for us, taking the language to something. Taking the language from our roots to something that's relevant for us, it's very affected all our life actually.
But I must admit that I feel more comfortable with the Arabic on stage than in the streets of Israel. Because sometimes, people look at you like maybe they're afraid or scared when they hear the ha and the and when you speak I don't know, when I speak with my friends from Morocco in the phone. So I think it's still a language and culture that may be more convenient to consume through stages and frameworks that brings you the context in a way that you are a bit distance from it. I think still when you go to the streets here, there is a big clash between the cultures. It's either you speak Hebrew or Arabic. And I understand more and more that people look at us as I don't know, a specific phenomenon, like, an Israeli Arabic speaker. It's something that is very bizarre. It's very weird for people, but for me, I believe and I want that in the future, it won't be so, exceptional. It will be ordinary. I mean, we live here. We need to know the local... we don't need to afraid, not only because it's our roots, but also because we need to fit in, the area that we live in.
Right. I mean, it's interesting because you talk about how your parents' generation weren't able to do that, and now you're able to make this exploration. And Kamal, in a way, that's what your film is doing as well, and your own exploration of returning, of connecting to the place where you were from, that you left at 6 months old. And I know, this is your second film connecting through Tingir, through the Jews who left. And I'm curious, sort of in the process of meeting the Jewish community that left Tingir, if you learned anything about your own immigrant experience.
Of course, I think all my creativity and my movie, it's a sequel, c'est une suite about my question about my plural identities, about my feelings with my roots, also about my French and Moroccan identity. And I was born in Tinrir. I grew up in France, but every summer I was in Tinrir, and also for me it was very strange, uh, to because I was born in the Kasbah, the old house Amazir, and for me, through my eyes when I was child, it was wow strange to see also my grandmother and with this traditional songs, also with the tamazirt, with the everything, and in France, I lived in the modern society, but I feel something very. I feel something strange inside me, uh, because I was in between. I am always in between until now, and when I discovered through my grandparents, La yarhamu Bahan, the father of my father, also when he started to told me about Jews living in Morocco and specifically in Tenerife, it was strange also for me, because for me all the Moroccan were Muslim, and when he started to tell me about David, Moshe, etc., etc., I wanted to know how why these Jews left Morocco, and it was my I think I feel like empathy with this departure, with this exile, because also, okay, the difference between me and Amit and Neta, and I have a house until now in Tinrir, okay, and also my family. But for them, for this generation and for their parents, they cut all with this with Morocco, and I feel like it's my strangeness, Mon étrange. I don't know if it's a good translation in English. Mon étrange étrangeté, and yeah, I feel empathy. I wanted to share, because I believe also in the diversity, and Amit told before, it's to sing in Arabic for them there, it's a political statement, but also in Morocco to see this young generation living in Jerusalem, born in Peripheria and Netivot, speaking in Moroccan Arabic, singing in Moroccan Arabic. They learned Arabic Palestinian, okay? This is something very political also here in Morocco. I remember when Neta and Amit they came for the first time to to make a concert in Morocco. It was in Essaouira. Wow, the audience were very wow happiness, and they were very wow. They are Israeli, and they can speak in Arabic, in Moroccan Arabic, and for them it was just incredible.
You definitely get that. I mean, you see that in the film with the reactions from the audience. There's so much joy in people standing up and clapping and dancing. And there seems to be so much music on the streets. I don't know if that's the pathways that you found when making the film or because you were traveling as musicians. Um, but the breaking into song, did you find that music was part of the texture of the culture, or was it something that you had to seek out being there?
I was amazed to see the music lives in the street. People still, own it. It's not something that an institution took over the knowledge, or I don't know. There are no big universities, or like people still own the knowledge. You can walk in the street, you can consume crazy stuff like crafts and arts and simple people that can do anything. They can sing, they can dance, they can talk in seven different dialects. And I was amazed. It was very powerful, although I saw different and also difficult situation of humanity. Like people are very poor and not always but I still found what you say, the joyness and the big knowledge that I didn't count it before as knowledge at all. I mean, when I grew up, it was transparent. I thought, okay, Moroccan music, I don't know, it's background. It's not something that I need to learn in university. It's not really a proper knowledge. And when you go to Morocco, you I don't know, things changed. I mean, all the hierarchy I had in my head changed, and I understood a lot of things about living in the world. I mean, West and East and cultures and people who write the history, people who own it, people who sing it. I don't know. It made me really grow up.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of extending your body, like extending your soul and your body. And when you meet, like, as a Moroccan, as a Jewish Moroccan living in Israel, you're going to Morocco. It's like, extending your body. Like sometimes in a negative way. Yeah, you knowing. You when you're going back, you're collecting knowledge. Like Neta said, I'm really connected to this sentence. You're just collecting and collecting, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but you're collecting.
In what way it's bad?
It's bad, it's I think we are not we it's very important not to see Morocco as something like idyllic, not in the past and not in the present. Morocco, like Israel, there are many like racism, gaps between between the people. And if I go, for example, to the village of my grandmother, I see there is no education for people. And it's so it's very important,
It's
to
complex.
take both. It's complex, exactly. So we need to take both things from Morocco. It's like for us, it's like extending. If we will take out all the countries, it's like building like a kind of like a big community around us. So it's like a network everywhere you go. Like it's not also Morocco; it's Moroccans in general. You go into Paris, you meet Moroccans, you meet them, you go into their parties, you see their art, you're starting to think different about things. You see in their art the codes you know from home. So it's kind of network that it's getting bigger, and it's like surrounding your life.
And of course, that's also your connection to Kamal in a way, as you both have this Moroccanness, as you call it,
Yeah,
I think.
absolutely.
I'm curious because obviously you talk about what you're doing as sort of political or sort of progressive. What's the reaction been to your music across generations in Israel? I mean, we see a bit of what the reaction is in Morocco, but of Israeli Moroccans, and then also maybe of Ashkenazi Israelis hearing your music.
Generally, I think people are proud. I think it's I don't know, maybe on the timeline, we are in a better situation than the musicians that used to live before us. I mean, they were struggling. They had big tragedies in their life because they sticked into the Moroccan music. They fight for it. And we are like, just taking the fruits, because now the society, I feel, is very much more open-minded, and I think it's not threatened by the fact that we want to touch our diaspora. We want to touch our roots. Once upon a time in Israel, we all know the history. Like we had the melting pot, establishment decided for all of us to erase our history and our languages. And it was even forbidden by law to speak Yiddish or Ladino or in the streets. So I think now we're living in a better situation. And for us as musicians, we are privileged to get a lot of compliments and a lot of positive reactions. Although there are sometimes, people who say, why do you need Arabic? Why do you need to speak it? It's the language of the enemy. I don't know. But the much most, amount of reactions are positive. Even our parents are proud. I mean, everybody.
Yeah, I think that in our concerts, for example, in a Biadi project, the homage we did to Zohar El Fassia, we can find you could find in the audience grandmothers and
grandchildren, hipsters.
Hipsters,
Sephardic, everybody.
It was mixed, totally mixed. But I must add to Neta, I agree with Neta, but sometimes, I just must add that sometimes, the liberal society have even more racism than you see. Like, okay, people accept, cultural ideas and music, but the racism still exists, under cover, like under
the surface.
Exactly, yeah. For example, still in Israel, there is a racism, of course, against Arabs, against Palestinians, against Mizrahim, but of course the people are more and more open, but the governments are still very, very, in my opinion, very racist against everything that smells like Arabic.
I'm starting to get a bunch of audience questions, and this one is related because Bani Alpert asks about the influence of Arabic and Moroccan music in Israeli popular music. And I think maybe that ties into some of what you're saying about, the outward presentation of the acceptance of Arab cultures. But can you talk a little bit about how the music that you're creating sort of fits into the pop music of Israel today?
We work. We perform. There is thirst for this music, but still, I'm not expecting for the Israeli radio tomorrow to put all my songs in their playlist. It's not gonna happen. I know there are places that are still really preserved to one narrative, but I'm very glad that we have, thanks to the internet, thanks to a lot of, open-minded people and people who loves music, we have still a lot of audience, and also people who are connected to the roots and knows this music from their parents also and their grandparents. So it still have the stage, I think, a respectful stage. I'm not feeling, also you can see a lot of other Arabics, Jews from other diasporas, that their music is really influencing the mainstream, the pop that we can hear in the radio. A lot of Mizrahi singers use the makam, use all the silsulim, how do you say it? Ornamental.
Arabic scales.
Yeah. Huh? אין מילה, אוקיי. They מקשטים, איך אומרים מקשטים? They decorate the Hebrew with Arabic nuance. But still, when you sing in Arabic, it's different. it's not like I'm taking the decoration from the Arabic culture and putting it into Hebrew. I'm singing practically the same music that also a Muslim can sing. But I mean, I'm not expecting for this to be in the radio, but I'm very glad and happy that in the field, like in stages and in the internet, people are listening and coming. And yeah.
I'm interested actually in how there was that interesting moment where you're talking to someone and you're asking him about the difference between the Muslim music and Jewish music, and he says, "Well, the only difference is you don't mention Allah, but how much do you then take the music and change it from what your grandmother would have heard? Are you putting your own touches on the music, or are you sort of sticking to the
Definitely.
traditional?"
Definitely. Amit and I always say we're not trying to preserve anything. To preserve something is like, to kill it. In my point of view, I cannot also imitate the past. I'm really just trying to be myself, and I'm trying to put my identity into these songs, and also we are writing new stuff. We are performing also our songs in Moroccan Arabic, and I think for me, I'm just taking inspiration, because for me it was really, really something big. It's like when Kamal discovered, Yaakov and Meir and Yitzhak, that they were used to live in Morocco. For me, I discovered Lin Monti, Salim Halali, Albert Suissa, Zohar El-Fassia, all those musicians that their music, like, it was really falling between the chairs, we call it in Hebrew. Because in Israel, it was not popular anymore to speak in your diaspora language. And in Morocco, the Jews were gone. So the music made aliyah, made hagira, איך אומרים? hagira. Yeah, the music immigrated, but it's not, it didn't accept the place that it should in Israel. So a lot of people doesn't know that a lot of tunes and popular tunes in the North African music world belongs to Jewish composers and singers.
I must mention that our last project, Arenas, it's completely electronic with the trumpet and double bass and on computer.
And beats, electronic beats.
Okay, so like as Neta said, it's like the tradition must be dynamic, must be. If not, it's not a tradition. So that is the idea, to make it relevant for you. And if you go back, today we are watching back, the singers that were in the 50s, and we say, no, this is the classic, but it's not a classic. Like, there's no classic. That's the idea. There's no authentic music. They did whatever they want, and what felt comfortable for them. Like Salim Halali or Zohar El-Fassia, they mixed. They did really like. They took the music to their own life. And as in Arenas, I think in our last project, we did it like this is exactly what we did. We took it really to, we put it the influences that we are really living among them.
It's also reflective. I mean, there's the nice parallel in the language when you speak, when you go and meet with someone and you use Palestinian Arabic, and they say, we don't say that here. It's all an integration and a weaving of different cultures. Yeah.
Many Moroccan friends told, they're laughing. They said we invented a new dialect, It's like a Palestinian Darijak, like Moroccan Palestinian Arabic. And mixed with Hebrew sometimes, and sometimes English and French, like every Moroccan do. So, everyone do whatever feel comfortable for you.
And in your music as well. There's another question here about, I think it's basically about Fanny, I'm going to pronounce her name wrong, Maroy, who you visit in Morocco. And I don't know if you met her initially, or if Kamal, if you did, but there's a question here about how many Moroccan Jews returned to Morocco as permanent residents, and if you could talk about that movement.
Like physically? Like
okay. No, it's okay. I think there are 5,000 Moroccan Jews living until now in Morocco, specifically in Casablanca, a little bit in Marrakesh, in Tangier, in the north. But in the Atlas, all Jews left Morocco. It's a big pity. And we have a synagogue, we have a cemetery, we have a museum also about Jewish history in Casablanca, the only museum in the Muslim country with the majority, you know. And recently also Morocco recognized in the last constitution the Jewish identity, you know, in Morocco with the Amazigh identity also. It was very recently, and just now, just I saw just last week. But the big fight now is to try to apprendre, to learn this story in school, you know, also in the university, because I think it's very important. Also in Israel, you know, they don't know about Neta and Amit when they was in college and high school. They never learned about Moroccan culture, you know. And also in Morocco, we are some activists. We fight for to put inside the program in school to this part of history in Morocco, this Jewish part. I think it's very important for the new generation for to know we are plural. There is Jews, Amazigh, and Berber, Arabs, and this is Morocco. You know, we are not only Arab and Muslim in this country, and I think it's we have a lot of tzaddikim. I don't know, c'est des saints, you know, on the Baba Saleh, like for example, etc., etc. And I think it's very important to share with the maximum people this all these identities in Morocco.
I just must add to Kamal that in Israel it's the opposite. Morocco is much more progressive, you know, in that way, because while Morocco is recognizing Judaism as a part of Morocco, here the new national law, you know, taking out the Arabic and the Muslim history, like from the story of this place. So it's here actually it's exactly the opposite way, and then we can see it in many aspects actually.
I have a question for you, Amit and Neta, about how your music has changed over the past few months being stuck. I mean, it seems like you're influenced so much by travels with quarantine. I'm wondering if your music being stuck indoors together has changed your music making process.
Yes, you know, music is it's not the most important thing. We have family. I have a boy, and I think the corona just, you know, made me time to be more to concentrate on me being a mom, and also take care of my family. And you know, we celebrated the holidays through the seger. I don't know, when we were isolated actually. And it was challenging, you know, to build a sukkah in the middle of this crisis. And in between, I realized that also it took me time to recover and to come back to believe in art and music, because when something like that happened to humanity, it makes you think what is art actually, what is culture. I mean, and slowly I maybe I pull myself out from you know, being depressed about creation, and started to come back to the studio and started working with Amit, and we took the advantage of this time to record more stuff that we wanted before. And we made a recent show to the Oud International Festival, which is really, really clean and, you know, without beats, without production, just my voice, a drum and a guitar. And
Like
I
you
think
will hear in a minute.
yeah, we will
Kind of.
demonstrate also a few songs like in this spirit of Corona. It makes you think about life, about the things that you can take with you. if something bad happens, it's only your body, your voice, maybe a drum and tune that you remember.
Well, before we move on to some music, Kamal, I wanted to ask you what's next for this film and what you're working on, now.
About my project. Now I am also the producer and the distributor of this movie. Donc, we have a lot of selection, alhamdulillah, with this In Your Eyes. I see my country, and very soon in Philadelphia, Marseille, Bruxelles. I just received the selection yesterday about Switzerland in Bern and Lausanne.
Mazal tov.
Yeah, and yeah, alhamdulillah, and thanks to my also, I think I observed Neta and Amit during 7 years, and I think I was the first fan. When I saw Neta and Amit, it's also the metaphor about the title of the movie. In Your Eyes, I see my country, and when I saw them, I saw Morocco. And I feel. I think it is very important in this politic context this music. This is also our common territories. I'm not nationalist. I'm not patriotic on the blood. I love Morocco. I love Adama Dial Maghrib and the land of Morocco, but in the way, the poetic way, and in the strange way also. And I believe, in that, when Neta and Amit sings in our music, but they create also as an artist, and also something new between us, And I don't remember the question, but I think also this movie, it's also just to say there is not a fatality about the big history. The big history, they separated our parents, and in this present, and we can rebuild something new, not in the nostalgic way. And also Morocco is not positive and negative. It's not black or white, and also the Israeli society, it's like that, And yeah, I believe in that, to try to put together people with all this identity. And I think in this political context, I am very happy when I saw we don't have Trump, and I hope also with the
Alhamdulillah.
Islamist government in Morocco, and perhaps, I don't know, also we are afraid now, also with Marine Le Pen in France, and I think the heart of the culture can try to put people together,
Kamal, in your eyes, I see Jerusalem.
Exactly.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much. It's such a beautiful film, and I'll add, just thinking, what the first scene we see in Morocco, in your film is in a cemetery, but they're searching for a poem on these gravestones, and I thought there was a really beautiful metaphor there, and we see sort of this assumption of death and something that's being buried, really being born into music and poetry in your film. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
And now I think we'll turn to some music. So for all of you, remember to tell your friends to watch the film through November 15th. And now Amitai Cohen and Neta Elkayam.
Thank you. יש לך ליינאפ. We'll start with something from the Atlas Mountains. شربي الجبون دلالي أنا جاني من تعزة الحمام اللي كان في الغايبة ما أبغى يولي البلاد شربي الجبون دلالي أنا جاني من تعزة الحمام اللي كان في الغايبة ما أبغى يولي البلاد بسم الله بديت يا لالا وبسم الله بديت رس يهودي يا لالا ولد السلطان مبروك مسيح يا لالا بيديها تختار شربي الجبون دلالي أنا جاني من تازة الحمام اللي كان في الغايبة ما أبغى يولي البلاد Thanks. The next song dedicated to one of our favorite musicians. He lives right now in Paris, but he lived his life, most of his life in Morocco. His name is Chaim Boutboul. And I don't know if someone from his family is there. I just want to wish him like all the best and refuah shlema and laitul fi umro.
We must add that he had two brothers that they were very good friends of us, Claude and Marcel. Marcel died because the corona about 4 months ago, and Claude 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And they were very, very, they were amazing to us.
And also it's a big loss for the Jewish North
they were
African
musicians,
world music.
They were musicians, and we played with them in Tangier and also in Paris we met. So they were very close to us. Also we met in Jerusalem. They came to our house. So we really miss them.
The song's name is Fadl Wahsh Aliya, and that means, oh my God, it's in Hebrew, הציף אותי הגעגוע.
The longing rises within me.
The longing rises in me. It floats my heart. ياك الحباب كانوا كتار وراحوا تفرقوا عليا وزاحوا عليهم العيون بكوا الناحوا عليهم العيون بكوا الناحوا نار الحباب تلها بالليلة فضل وحش عليا فضل وحش عليا أنا يا براني غريب شكون يسأل عليا أنا يا براني غريب وشكون يبكي عليا فضل وحش عليا فضل وحش عليا أنا يا براني غريب شكون يسأل عليا أنا يا براني غريب وشكون يبكي عليا وحش عليا وزار نبكي في الليل مع نهار دمعي تجري كل مطر على خدي مجرية عقلي بهواها راه طار وما ولاش ليا أنا يا براني غريب شكون يسأل عليا أنا يا في باري غريب وشكون يفتش عليا فضل وحش عليا فضل وحش عليا أنا يا براني غريب شكون يسأل عليا أنا يا فتن غير غريب وشكون يبكي عليا عقلي بهواها طار وراح بقيت عبد غير النواح نبكي في كل مسا وصبح ودمعة مجرية نتفكر الايام الملاح زاد الدرع عليا فضل وحش عليا فضل وحش عليا أنا يا براني غريب شكون يسأل عليا أنا يا في باغي غريب وشكون يبكي عليا يا للا جيتني هواك راني صبر نترجى سبحان الله اللي عطاك الزين الكلية الخد الحمار يا سامعين وشفا عقرية إلا شتلمو يا عاشقين نار حبب ليا فضل وحش عليا فضل وحش عليا أنا يا براني غريب شكون يسأل عليا أنا يا في بروكسل غريب وشكون يفتش عليا الخد الحمار يا سامعين تفحل مسك مع الياسمين حوجبوا المعرقين القوني يا خويا نرجع في كل مسا وصباح ودمعتي مجرية نتفكر دوك الحباب الملاح زاد ضر عليا فضل وحش عليا فضل وحش عليا أنا يا براني غريب شكون يفتش عليا أنا يا في باغي غريب وشكون يقلب عليا فضل وحش عليا فضل وحش عليا أنا يا براني غريب شكون يسأل عليا أنا يا براني غريب وشكون يبكي عليا Thank you. Another song from the Atlas, from Ariana's project. It called Ah Yalala. I love it because it's very optimistic and it's like a song that a woman sings to another woman. So it's like a blessing from like, I don't know, maybe a mother to her daughter or...
Yeah, usually it's like the songs from the Atlas, which actually we came from, our families came from. You know, you could sing it like all the day. You know, it's like very repetitive in a way.
Yeah. يا للا يا جوج نجيمات يا للا في السما يبانو يا للا يا مولة الفرح يا للا ربي دموع عليك يا للا يا للا يا للا يا جوج نجيمات يا للا يا للا يا للا في السما يبانو يا للا يا جوج نجيمات يا للا في السما يبانو يا للا يا مولة الفرح يا للا ربي دموع عليك يا للا يا للا يا للا يا مولة الحزن يا للا يا للا يا للا حلولي بابو يا محبات صغار جوفي لها ديما مفكر على صورتك أنا أكون بلا يا للا يا جوج نجيمات يا للا في السما يبانو يا للا يا مولة الحزن يا للا ربي دموع عليك يا للا يا للا يا للا قالي عطفحو يا للا يا للا يا للا قالوا لي تابو يا محبات صغار جوفي لها ديما مفكر على صورتك نكون بلا يا للا يا جوج نجيمات يا للا في السما يبانو تنمرت תודה, thank you, שוכרן. הדרך?
Okay.
The next song is originally was written in Spanish by a poet named Moise Ben Aroush, which is an Israeli Jewish poet who lives in Jerusalem, but he writes in Spanish because he is from Tetuan originally. And he wrote a song about something really scary, something apocalyptic, like the day.
It's very reality, actually. It's not apocalyptic.
Yeah, for me, I think when I think about it, it seems like, you know, the history might come back to the Spanish time and, you know, the port of Spain. But it talks about generally the day that people comes to your house, knock on your door and tells you, this is not your house anymore. You have to leave. And of course, this is not your religion. Those are not your brothers and sisters, etc., etc. And he wrote the song in Spanish. He translated it into Hebrew and Arabic Fosha, which is the poetic Arabic. And איך אומרים, נעזרתי? Yeah, I took the help and the advice of linguistic advice from a very good friend of mine, the Moroccan translator. He lives in France. His name is Lazar Makhlouf. And we translated it together into the Darija version. And Amit wrote the music. So this called Haderech.
Yeah, I must say that, you know, it's maybe we could imagine that he wrote about the Inquisition in Spain, but when we published it, you know, every
in Arabic,
each one in the audience, you know, in the public, you know, thought about something else. Either if it was a Palestinian that thought about himself going out of his home in 48, or Moroccan who thought about the Jews going, expelling the Jews out of Morocco, and so everyone saw his own history on this. Song.
And we stayed like, you know, we left it open to everybody's interpretation. Yeah. Okay. Haderech. How do you say Haderech in English? Like the road, the road. هدم سوار طيح الحجر خود نعالك وبوس الطريق يقول لك خود العصا وخرج سير بشوية وما تقيش الورد قتل الخيل هادي ماشي دارك هادي ماشي أرضك هدم السوار طيح الحجر خد عليك وبوس الطريق هننا نا نا هننا نا 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 تيغوتوا عليك حل الباب عطينا بنتك وزيدنا مراتك هالدار ماشي دارك هادو ماشي خوتك تيغوتوا عليك هذا ماشي دينك وحتى انت ماشي انت هدم السوار طيح الحجر خد نعالك وبوس الطريق هننا نا نا هننا نا 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 هننا هننا نا نا هذا ماشي دينك هادو ماشي خوتك هذا ماشي شعبك هادي ماشي أرضك وغصان الشجر كتبكي هانا نا 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 حيت واحد العود كبير ما خلاهاش تكبر وغصان الشجر كتبكي هانا نا 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 حيت واحد العود كبير ما خلاهاش تكبر هانا نا 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 هانا نا 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 هانا نا هانا نا 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 هانا نا 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 هانا نا 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 هانا نا 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 هانا نا 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 هانا نا هانا نا 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 هانا نا 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 هانا نا 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 هانا نا هانا نا 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 هانا نا 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 هانا نا 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 Okay. Thank you. No. No. Last song, it's called Bint Lemnam. I wrote the lyrics with Reuven Abergel. It's about, it was written as a background to a film actually, film of Hana Zulay Asfari. It's called Orange People. And it's about a woman who dreams her past all the time. So you can guess that I felt very identified with the character. Bint Lemnam, the daughter of dreams. بكحول عينيها يتلقاو القمرة ونجوم هي بنت الحلام ليل عندها نهار بكحول عينيها يتلقاو القمرة ونجوم هي بنت الحلام ليل عندها نهار ومولانا معاها طولا لعمر بنت المنام واشنو متي هاد المرة إلا عندك شي خبر ليا ربي يفرج عليك في حال ما فرجتي عليا خليك من المزاح أبنتي عطيت لك عهد الله أنا كنطلب عليك هاد العام تلاقي وعدك ومولانا معاك طولا لعمره انتي نوم كل الروح اجي فكني من الجنون ما عندي غيرك يا مولة الفال وانا عايشة في الهبال بنت المنام واش نمتي هاد المرة إلا عندك شي خبر ليا ربي يفرج عليك فحال ما فرجتي عليا بنت المنام واش نمتي هاد المرة إلا عندك شي خبر ليا ربي يفرج عليك فحال ما فرجتي عليا Thank you everyone for being with us. Thank you for Boston
Thank-
Jewish Festival.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you,
so much.
Kamal. We really miss you.
Me too. We will meet very
I
soon.
just want I want to make sure you've seen some of these comments that were coming in while you were performing about how someone wrote this is such a beautiful performance. Someone
Thank
else wrote
you.
lovely versions of this song. They're super creative. They're just pouring in, very beautiful. So
We're gonna save the
and we
chat.
all it was really, thank you. It was such a treat. And Kamal, thank you for sharing your film with the Boston Jewish Film Festival. We did
you.
put Neta and Amit's website in the chat so that people can find you. Kamal, where can people find you if they want to know more about the film and what's happening with it?
Yeah, they can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, just with my name, Kamal Hachkar. Marhaba.
Thank you. We hope to one day bring you all to Boston and we can do this again live.
Inshallah. I hope
Thank
so.
you,
Cool.
inshallah. Bezrat Hashem.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye. Bye. Good
Thank you,
afternoon,
Ariana.
everyone. We'll see you at 3:00 for the next Q&A.
Yeah.
Good
Bye.
night to you all in Israel and in
And
Morocco.
take care.
You
And stay
too.
safe.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.